Hi folks, I'm Matt Selic with the 100 Mile Arts Network. Welcome back to Art to Heart, the video podcast series where I interview artists and artisans from across the Gatineau region. In today's video, we meet with visual artist and illustrator Spencer Hanna-Haworth. Classically trained in Toronto, he's recently made the move to the hills and now calls Wakefield his home. We speak with him today about his work and projects to come. Let's meet Spencer. All right. Hey, man.
Hey, man.
How's it going?
Very well. How are you doing?
Good, good. Thanks for having me here in your beautiful home in Wakefield.
Thank you so
Smack
much.
dab in the middle of the village. What a spot to be.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah. So how did you find yourself here? Like Wakefield of all places. How did you arrive here?
So my dad moved here 8 years ago with his wife and my two younger sisters. I was in Toronto. Things got very expensive. The city's quite expensive there. I had a couple jobs close their doors, and my rental property was becoming really expensive. I couldn't afford to live with my roommate anymore, so I decided to move up here and be close to my dad. Then the pandemic happened shortly after, because I moved in March of 2020. Yeah, that's the story. So I had a lot of time to do art when I got here.
Well, it's a great place for art too, because it's like Wakefield, and the whole Outaouais region is known. It draws artists in, it draws people of creative nature from all kinds of places. So you were pulled in here.
It seems to.
We're glad to have you here.
Well, thank you, man.
But okay, so you're an artist, you're a painter, illustrator. How did you get into that? What first inspired you to put brush to paper?
Definitely comic books, and eventually a lot of album artwork. But yeah, definitely as a small child, superhero comic books is kind of embarrassing, but that's sort of what got me into drawing a human figure. Was I sort of learned to draw, and I still draw Batman and Superman and Spider-Man better than I draw normal people like you or I. But that's just the way it is. Yeah, that's how it started, definitely, and I still have aspirations to get into that kind of work, but yeah, I'm interested in working in any kind of art in the visual realm. Yeah.
Well, you're talking about comics. There's no shame in that whatsoever, right? Like graphic novels and all that. And you had some aspiration, or you have some aspirations yourself for creating some graphic novels. Tell me about those.
I do, yeah. So I hope to be working on one with my father. I can't tell you too much about the story, but he's developing it right now. What should I say about it? It's going to be...
Don't give away the ending.
Okay, I know, I'm not going to give away the ending, absolutely. It follows multiple characters in different time periods, sort of disparate stories with odd connections that sort of center the story. And Peter's developing it. He's a really wonderful writer, yeah, as you may know.
So tell me a little bit more about the work you've done and what sort of... I know it sounds like a cliche thing, but what inspires you to create? When you're putting paint to canvas or whatever, what is it that's like driving you to create?
Usually, I have to mess up my routine if I want to work on something. So, I tend to try to miss a meal, try to stay up like 3 or 4 hours past my bedtime. And I'm not even kidding you, but that tends to bring out a rush of creativity.
Sensory deprivation.
A little bit, yeah. I think a little bit. Going on walks is nice in nature. I'm finding that works very well out here as opposed to in Toronto. Yeah, I think I have so little time now that I'm working that my days off, I have to really push myself to be creative. So yeah, it happens generally late at night, I would say. Yeah.
Is there a difference then, like you're coming from Toronto before, like painting, work in Toronto and then coming here to a rural setting? Does it change how you work, or does it change what you're producing,
Completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, completely. Down to like the music that I listen to while I'm working, the mindset I'm in, the subject matter. Yeah, I'm definitely observing more from nature, of course, and really enjoying that. And I would say that my style has become less urban and more nature-based, which is not surprising. But yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Can you tell me about some of the projects you're working on right now?
Sure.
Yeah.
So in Ottawa, I'm working on a project where I interview people experiencing the label of homelessness. So I interview and draw them, sometimes more drawing than interviewing, sometimes more interviewing than drawing. As you can imagine, I'm sort of like exploring it carefully. Just because the subject's so vulnerable, it's a vulnerable time during the pandemic, and it can be hard to approach people experiencing that label in their own environment where they're either living or working. So that's been really great and rewarding. I'm only at the drawing stages, so very early stages. I haven't started painting anything yet. I'm working on a couple logo designs for some bands, a metal band and a sort of indie rock band, I guess. Developing the comic book with Peter, but we haven't started the character sketching stages.
So this last year and a half, like it's been pretty tricky for anybody in the arts. Musicians unable to perform, visual artists unable to, have showings in galleries and that kind of thing. How's it affected you? I mean, it's been twofold. I've seen people, who have suffered the loss of being able to share their work, but also found it to be a very fertile time in terms of creativity. So how has it affected you?
I think I'm kind of on the latter end. Like, it was definitely advantageous to have all the spare time because I normally would do my I get my income from restaurant work generally, so to have that dry up and to have the option of CRB was I was able to stay in my studio for almost the whole year, which was really fantastic, and I redid my own portfolio and sort of rethought what kind of artist I wanted to be, which was really great. Yeah, I had a lot of time. It was wonderful. Yeah, I know it was really hard for a lot of people, and my heart goes out. Obviously, it wasn't without its challenges. Of course, there were moments of hardship, but it was great.
But and I think that's the fact that we have it's a double-sided thing, right? There's silver lining in all of these things, and so thank you for sharing that. You mentioned reinventing yourself as an artist. I guess that's ongoing, right? Like that's going to be as you progress in your life and your career, that's just going to continue to reinvent itself. Have you gone through a lot of periods of reinvention in your life as a painter, as an artist?
I think I have, yeah. Like, definitely during my schooling, I was often reinventing myself through direction from teachers and instructors. So I started. I took some private art classes when I was very young. Grade 4 to 8 was spent at Claude Watson School of the Arts, where there was. They made you take all art disciplines, but obviously the visual arts program there was very strong. And then Etobicoke School for the Arts, where I sort of got into more like counterculture stuff because I was allowed to explore that there. So that was during high school. And by university, I had sort of decided to train myself as an editorial illustrator, and decided once I was experiencing that training that that wasn't for me. It's not really, it's not a growing business.
Can you describe what that is?
Editorial illustrations, so like articles, sort of, yeah, like the kind of illustrations you used to see in magazines and print. You see them occasionally on the internet, but not so often. But it's a cool thing to train yourself as if you want to be a comic book or book illustrator. You're challenged with all sorts of storytelling type things, and you learn to draw things that you're not comfortable drawing a lot, as opposed to just exploring your comfort zone. You're constantly pushed out of it to create narratives and stuff. So
that's cool because that makes you grow.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Absolutely, yeah. Good observational drawing skills from just having to draw cars and helicopters and annoying stuff. Yeah.
So what's next? Like, what do you want to do next? Like, what's on the table now?
So finishing this homelessness project, working on the graphic novel with Peter, I think is going to take up most of my winter time. In terms of the future, getting my work into galleries. Patrick Thompson is a really wonderful artist who has been mentoring me, and I will pretty much do whatever he asks me to do. If he invites me out, then I'm happy to drop everything and help him out. I really find that inspiring. He's he's got a lot of momentum as an artist, and I feed off that. So I'm looking forward to spending more time with him coming in the winter. I wish I had more paintings that I was working on for myself right now, but I just haven't been finding that successful lately. But often in the winter, when I'm feeling less physically inspired to get outside, I think I can do more focused work sometimes in the winter. Yeah. In the summer, I like to do outdoor projects and immediate, urgent stuff.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm doing work with like brush pen, black and white, a lot of drawing, a lot of outdoor stuff. Yeah.
Very cool.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. Hey, man, I'm excited to see the fruition of these projects, the homelessness project, the graphic novels. I'm keen to see where all this stuff goes.
Thank you.
Congratulations on arriving here.
Thank you.
And the work you're doing. It sounds very cool. And thanks for chatting with me today.
Thank you so much, man.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
All right. Cheers.